Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 2C TV. I'm Maya 2C and this is your latest update from the European Union, specifically the Fifth Republic of France. Over the last couple of days, the anti-EU and anti-globalist uprising has been escalating. Obviously on the 19th of November we had the farmers blocking the port of Bordeaux and other places, but it's been followed up yesterday on the 20th of November and today in a number of cities in France. Protesters continue to send a message to Brussels, the dictatorship of the European Union, that we are not happy with the globalist policies. In this video we're going to go through all the details of what this fight is about. Obviously it goes back to the current battle, which is about the farmers in France, but also the wider population and other sectors and industries that are being affected by globalist policies brought by Brussels. Now, before we start, don't forget to take advantage of our Black Friday discount, 50% off 2CTV Plus annual memberships using the promo code Friday. Go to 2ctvplus.tv, become a member of the channel, support our independent work, and of course get access to all the premium shows and everything else. Now, let's talk about the French farmers. Let's talk about their fight for independence, self-reliance, but also basic support from the French government. Everything goes back to the negotiations that continued for years and years and eventually led to the agreement between the European Union and Mercosur, which is this South American bloc, the trading bloc with Argentina, Brazil, and others. Now, one of the main issues with this is that they did reach the political agreement in 2019. And part of this was the European Union essentially negotiated on behalf of all the European countries without the consent of the European population. That's how the EU works. It's a dictatorship that decides on behalf of everybody else, and you have no say. You cannot oppose it. In this case, the French political establishment and the government, led by Macron, even they oppose this. Now, they are trying their best to fight back against the EU, but again, those who say it's okay because Macron's government are on the side of the farmers in this situation, and obviously the French government are also opposing the deal. No, because it was the likes of Macron and all the liberals in France that allowed the European Union to have this much power over the lives of French people in the first place. They are still responsible. They have to take some accountability. Now Macron's saying, well, yes, I will be fighting on behalf of the farmers and all the others as well against this deal, because again, it will be disrupting the production lines. And then one of the main issues with this is that you are bringing in cheap produce from other countries. You're not actually supporting your farmers. What is the point of this? And if you actually had proper policies, then there wouldn't even be a need for subsidies. So all you have to do is just protect your own industries, your own agriculture and sectors in general. If you can make something in your country, make it in your country. If there is some specific product or anything really that you can't make in your country, then fine. Get a fair and free deal with a country that does sell you that. But if you can make things in your country, don't bring in cheap versions of it from other countries. Let's go to the videos we have from Now, as you can see, and as we said, the protest started a couple of days ago. Initially, obviously, the port of Bordeaux, initially led by the farmers, because of the initial fight that they have with the European Union. They're not necessarily fighting against the French government, but they're fighting against the European Union because the French government are supporting these guys. But others also joined in because there are bigger battles, which also includes the French government, Macron's government, mostly because the government still supports the EU on a wide range of policies, dictatorial policies, centralized policies. And it's time for people in France to say enough is enough and we have to look after our own people first. Let's go to the next video we have from France.
Nous on fait de la vente directe, je veux dire que sur la vente directe, les gens aujourd'hui ils veulent manger local, ils veulent manger du vrai, du bon, pas de la merde qui arrive de n'importe où. Et où il n'y a aucune surveillance, parce qu'en fait on ne sait pas concurrencer le niveau tarif, il n'y a pas de problème, mais c'est la concurrence déloyale.
That's the key point. It's about fair or unfair competition. And again, there has to be some logic. Obviously, the last footage came from DW, and even the mainstream media journalists have had to be cautious about how they report these sort of things so that they don't actually come out. And it's not really about just insulting ordinary French people. It's about insulting the truth and actually spreading lies. Because even they know that you cannot argue against the fact that you have to be pragmatic and practical when it comes to foreign policies and trade policies. Now you have three options. People always think there's only two options. Number one, a completely free trade mentality, internationalist mentality. You can also sign a free trade deal with China and everything's going to be fine. That's one option, which is irrational because China will destroy you. Second option is full-on protectionist, close the borders, don't trade with anybody, kick out all the foreign companies that are in your country, also bring in investment, and just completely be isolated like the Amish in America. But no, there's the third option, which is the Trump mentality. International, but at the same time, put America first. So Trump and Trumpism believe in fair and free trade, but as long as there's a level playing field, fair competition. If it's not fair, then what is the point? You have to, as a political leader, you have to treat your government as a company, but also as a family. Because you are the CEO of the company, you are responsible on behalf of the shareholders, stakeholders who are the taxpayers and the voters, but it is also a tribe, it's a family. That's why you have a flag. And the whole point of that is that if you have people in your family and in your company making something, support them. You don't have to do subsidies. The reason they have to end up doing subsidies is because they're also doing globalism. If they stop doing that, then they don't need to do subsidies because there's no unfair competition. Fair competition is absolutely fine. Free trade on level playing field is brilliant. You get access to everything that you can't have in your country. It's great for consumers, it's great for the economy. But unfair, no. That's why you can never have a trade deal with China. It makes no sense. They would just sell you the cheap nonsense they have and they wouldn't buy anything from you. Let's go to the next clip we have from France and see what else the farmers were up to. Now, obviously, as we said, the French government have promised to continue the fight on behalf of the agricultural sector against the European Union, but this is the same French government that endorses the European Union on all the other issues. So what is the actual point of being a member of a dictatorship, but at the same time saying, well, we need to oppose it on sometimes? I'm like, well, you can't. Because you can't pick and choose when it comes to the European Union. The United Kingdom realized this. Now, the farmers, for example, are being completely destroyed because those countries are part of the European Union. Now, we have our own problems in the UK with the farmers, but that's just because of our own government raising taxes and making things harder. But the European Union nations are completely over they have no other options because all these countries are part of the EU. And thank God, at least the UK technically left the EU as an official member, as a formal member. We're still tied to the EU, as you guys know. But being a full member of the EU, this is the consequences. These are the results. So thank God for Brexit, because the situation in the Netherlands, in Belgium, in France, in all the countries that are still fighting against dictatorial centralized policies that they cannot even debate. At least in the UK, farmers can protest, they can then support a political party, they can vote for that political party, they can replace the Labour government with a new political leadership, and policies could change. Just like how they did that in July. They didn't like the Tories for some reason, and they were like, wow, let's just bring in more socialism. That was a terrible idea, but you don't like the Tories, you vote for someone else. You do not vote Labour, because that's just socialism but on steroid. Anyway, let's go to the next clip we have from France as well. Yeah. Now, let's quickly get some reaction from the live chat. The EU is a scam organization. Yeah, I mean, it's just a simple dictatorship. Now, let's get some super chats. Ivan says, looks like the great EU fairy tale is beginning to crumble. Absolutely spot on. Yeah, I mean, it's never going to last anyway. It was never going to last. Tony says, sorry to be off topic. Any update on Tommy? No, not really. Obviously, I'll be seeing him in a couple of weeks. But other than that, nope. A couple of weeks? Next week, yeah. 28th, the day after his birthday. Anthony says, Maya, my sympathy goes to you and Patriot Brits in advance for the demons that are becoming permanent residents in the UK. And Ellen DeGeneres, yep, and her disgusting wife. Yeah, thanks guys in America for sending Ellen to the UK. Where am I going to go now? I don't think Ellen will like the UK anyway, but I wonder how long she will last. Scotty says, bit off topic, Maya. Is there any news on Tommy? Everyone's asking about Tommy. Yeah, that we already answered that question. Richard says, the globalists are getting found out and it's all down to people like you, 2C. Told you before, if you push hard enough, something will always give. Thank you. And Clark Paul says, Mercosur is a standing joke. Here in Uruguay, it doesn't do anything apart from have taxpayers' money. I mean, they're all, again, I'm very much in favor of bilateral agreements between two nations on trade, as long as the two nations there's a level playing field and it's a fair trade deal, free trade deal between them, absolutely fine. And it has to be based on, because bilateral agreements are simpler agreements. It's just between two countries, easy to do. And you can just say, we can make this in our country. You can make, I don't know, this in your country. We'll sell you this. You sell us this. Done. And that's how it used to be historically. Now, what we have is all these trading blocks. Trading blocks are scams. They make things more bureaucratic. Even if they have good intentions, they make things bureaucratic, complicated. You have to negotiate on behalf of all the other countries. And how on earth can you actually get an agreement where, for example, when it comes to NAFTA, Mexico and then Canada and the US, everybody be happy? It's not going to happen. That's why there's always one or two or all of them lose out. That's just at best the problem with trading blocks. That's the best thing. Oh, they have good intention. Then you have the actual fake trading blocks like the European Union, single market, which is just a scam. It's a front for political dictatorship. They're just there to take control of your country, of your laws. That's why political blocks in general, whether it's trading block or political blocks, are a terrible idea. That's just globalism on steroid. The Viking is in the live chat saying, I got here late. Have they sprayed S everywhere? Not necessarily. They just put rubbish everywhere. Anyway, let's go back to some non-super chat, ladies and gentlemen. Jamie says, David Cameron, Tony Blair, and other politicians worked for CCP. Read Douglas Murray. Well, yeah, it wasn't really a secret. Not that they worked for them, but they worked with the CCP. It was public. They talked about it themselves. They bragged about it. And that's just the least of our problems. Bill Clinton started this in the 90s. Then George Osborne and David Cameron accelerated it in 2014, I can't remember when it was. Then the whole thing's backfiring. And when Trump was the only one speaking out against it at the time, everybody laughed at him. Well, they're not laughing now, are they? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this was the latest update from France. The anti-EU uprising will continue across the European Union. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.